The Stoic mindset that separates. Rich men from broke men. Stoicism. What if being broke has far less to do with your bank account than the way you think? Most people spend their entire lives believing that money is the thing they're missing. They blame the economy, bad luck, their job, their upbringing, the opportunities they never had. They convince themselves that if they could just earn a little more, everything would finally change. But what if that's the biggest financial lie you've ever believed? What if the real difference between rich men and broke men isn't their income, but their wealth mindset? Think about this. Why do some men seem to build wealth almost everywhere they go, while others earn more than enough and still end up with nothing? Why do lottery winners who receive millions often lose everything within just a few years? And why do disciplined men who start with almost nothing so often achieve financial freedom? Because money doesn't create character, it reveals it. Money doesn't reward desire, it rewards value. More than 2,000 years ago, long before stock markets, cryptocurrencies, or financial advisors existed, the Stoic philosophers had already discovered a truth that most people still fail to understand today. They understood that every lasting fortune begins long before the first dollar is earned. It begins with a rich mindset, with self-discipline, with emotional control, with the daily decisions that almost nobody notices. Seneca understood that the man who cannot govern himself will never truly govern his possessions. In Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, chapter 3, he reminds us that many of our greatest struggles are created by the way we think, not simply by the circumstances we face. The same principle applies to money. Before poverty becomes financial, it almost always becomes psychological. That is why two men can earn the same income, live in the same city, and face the same opportunities, yet 10 years later, appear to have lived completely different lives. One quietly builds financial independence. The other quietly builds dependence. One develops a money mindset that turns every dollar into a servant. The other treats every dollar as permission to consume. The difference isn't hidden in their salary. It's hidden in the decisions nobody sees. This video isn't about getting rich overnight. It's not about secret investment strategies. It's not about financial hacks. It's about discovering the Stoic mindset that helps ordinary men build extraordinary wealth by first building themselves. By the end of this video, you won't just think differently about money. You'll understand why your mindset determines whether wealth stays with you or quietly slips through your hands. Because before a man changes his income, he must first change the way he thinks. The invisible poverty. Most men never escape. Most men believe the gap between rich and broke is measured in money. It isn't. It's measured in habits so ordinary that almost nobody notices them. Imagine two men. They are the same age. They earn the same salary. They live in the same city. They have the same opportunities. From the outside, their lives look almost identical. Every Friday, both receive the same paycheck. Every Monday, both return to work. Every month, both pay the same bills. If you looked at them today, you would probably say they have the same future. You would be wrong. 5 years later, one man owns investments that generate income while he sleeps. He has options. He has leverage. He can walk away from a job he no longer enjoys. He can take calculated risks because he has built a foundation for financial freedom. The other man is still waiting for his next paycheck, still hoping the next promotion will solve everything, still wondering why wealth always seems to belong to someone else. What separated them? Not intelligence, not luck, not talent, a wealth mindset. One man spent years asking himself, "What can I buy?" The other kept asking, "What can I build?" That single difference changed everything. Because every purchase creates two futures. One for the person you are today, one for the person you'll become tomorrow. Most broke men don't suffer from a lack of income. They suffer from a habit of consumption. Every extra dollar becomes another purchase, another subscription, another upgrade, another temporary feeling of success. For a few moments, buying something new feels like progress. But consumption rarely creates freedom. It creates dependency. Poor men chase income. Wealthy men build leverage. That is the difference between a money mindset and a rich mindset. The Stoics understood that chasing external possessions could never fill an internal emptiness. A man who constantly needs more to feel successful will never believe he has enough. His income may grow. His desires simply grow faster. The wealthy man thinks differently. Before spending money, he asks a question that most people never consider. Will this purchase make me look wealthier, or make me become wealthier? Those are not the same thing. One feeds the ego, the other builds the future. Every dollar becomes a decision. Every decision becomes a habit. Every habit slowly becomes an identity. Long before wealth appears in a bank account, it appears in the choices a man makes when nobody is watching. Your bank account is often just a reflection of your habits. Your habits are a reflection of your identity, and your identity determines your future. That is the invisible poverty most men never escape. Not empty pockets, an empty way of thinking, but this isn't even the biggest difference between rich men and broke men. The next distinction is even more powerful, because it silently shapes every financial decision you'll ever make. Rich men think in decades. Broke men think until Friday. The greatest financial advantage in the world isn't money. It's time. Not the amount of time you have, the way you think about it. This is where the lives of the wealthy and the broke quietly begin to separate. Most people think until Friday. They think about the next paycheck, the next weekend, the next vacation, the next purchase, the next bill. Their attention rarely travels beyond the next few days. Men with a true wealth mindset ask a completely different question. What decision can I make today that my future self will thank me for 10 years from now? That single question changes the direction of an entire life. Marcus Aurelius understood that every action shapes the person you become. Every decision is a vote for your future character. The same is true for financial success. Imagine it's 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night. You're tired. You have two options. You can spend the next 3 hours scrolling through social media, watching another series, escaping reality for one more evening. Or you can spend those same 3 hours learning a valuable skill, reading a book that transforms the way you think, improving your health, building a business, creating something that continues producing value long after you've finished. Neither decision changes your life tonight, tomorrow morning. Both men wake up looking exactly the same. 1 week later, nothing seems different. 1 month later, the gap is still invisible. That's why most people quit too early. They expect visible results from invisible habits. But give those choices 5 years, then 10. One man has accumulated knowledge, skills, confidence, relationships, opportunities, assets. The other has accumulated entertainment, distraction, excuses, regret. This is how a rich mindset is built. Quietly, repeatedly, almost invisibly. Most people believe compounding only applies to money. The Stoics would tell you it applies to your entire life. Every disciplined action compounds. Every book compounds. Every difficult conversation compounds. Every hour invested in mastering a valuable skill compounds. Your reputation compounds. Your confidence compounds. Your self-discipline compounds. Even your money mindset compounds. because every day you're becoming someone. The only question is, who? People begin to trust the man who consistently does what he says he will do. Opportunities begin to find him because reliability has become rare. Wealth doesn't suddenly appear. It quietly grows beneath the surface. Like the roots of a tree, long before anyone sees the branches. The problem is that most people stop watering the tree before it ever has the chance to grow. Success is rarely explosive. It is usually invisible. That is why the majority never achieve financial freedom. They plant a seed on Monday. They expect a forest by Friday. When nothing dramatic happens, they convince themselves it isn't working. So they stop. The wealthy understand something different. They know extraordinary lives are almost always built through ordinary decisions, repeated for an extraordinary amount of time. They don't chase motivation. They build systems. They don't chase shortcuts. They build habits. They don't chase money. They build themselves. Because once you've built the man, building wealth becomes a consequence. But even time isn't the greatest force separating rich men from broke men, because a single emotional decision can destroy years of patient progress in just a few minutes. Emotion is the most expensive thing you'll ever own. Have you ever noticed that the biggest financial mistakes almost never happen because people don't know what to do? They happen because, for a brief moment, emotion becomes louder than reason. Think about the last impulsive purchase you made. You probably didn't stop to ask whether it would build your future. You simply wanted the feeling it promised. Relief, excitement, status, comfort. Now think about the investor who panic sells the moment the market falls, or the entrepreneur who never starts because fear keeps whispering that he'll fail, or the man who earns more money every year, yet somehow finishes every month with less than before. Different situations, the same problem. Emotion made the decision. Reason arrived too late. This is why most financial mistakes are emotional, not mathematical. The numbers are rarely the real obstacle. The real obstacle is what happens inside your mind before you make the decision. That is why your money mindset matters more than your income. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They knew that a man who cannot govern his emotions will eventually lose control of everything else: his money, his relationships, his reputation, his future. In Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, chapter 3, Seneca reminds us that much of our suffering comes from the judgments we create, not from reality itself. The same is true in the financial world. Fear tells you to sell when patience would make you wealthier. Desire tells you to buy what you cannot afford. Pride tells you to impress people who won't remember you tomorrow. Envy convinces you to compare your life with someone else's highlight reel. Impatience whispers that slow progress isn't real progress. Every one of those emotions carries a price tag. Some cost a few dollars, others cost entire decades. Your emotions are either building your wealth or quietly taxing it. Now imagine another man facing exactly the same situations. He feels fear. He feels temptation. He feels uncertainty. The difference is that he doesn't immediately obey them. He pauses. He breathes. He lets reason catch up with emotion. That pause is where fortunes are built. Most people think becoming wealthy requires making brilliant financial decisions. Not necessarily. Very often, it simply requires avoiding stupid emotional ones. The easiest money you'll ever make is the money you don't lose to your own impulses. Money is often described as power, but that's only half the truth. Money is an amplifier. It doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you already are. Give money to a disciplined man, and discipline grows. Give money to an impulsive man, and impulsiveness becomes more expensive. Wealth magnifies character. It never replaces it. That is why self-discipline is one of the highest return investments you'll ever make. Not because it guarantees wealth, but because it protects you from yourself. Every emotional mistake avoided becomes another brick in your wealth mindset. Every disciplined decision strengthens your financial future. Every moment of emotional control moves you one step closer to financial freedom. Because building wealth is rarely about making one extraordinary decision. It's about refusing to make hundreds of ordinary bad ones. But emotional discipline alone still isn't what creates extraordinary wealth. There is another mindset that quietly separates the men who chase money from the men money eventually begins to chase. The wealthy build value. Before they chase money, most people spend their lives asking the wrong financial question. How can I make more money? It sounds like the right question. It isn't. Because money has a habit of flowing toward value. The better question is this: how can I become more valuable? That single shift changes everything. It's the difference between chasing opportunities and becoming one. Imagine two men who both want to double their income. The first spends every evening searching for shortcuts. He jumps from trend to trend. He watches videos promising fast wealth. He searches for the next opportunity that requires the least effort. The second man makes a different decision. He becomes impossible to ignore. He learns how to solve difficult problems. He becomes a better communicator. He learns to lead. He learns to sell ideas. He masters difficult skills. He becomes reliable. He keeps his word. Every day, he invests in becoming more valuable than he was yesterday. A year later, both men are still working. 5 years later, they no longer compete in the same market. One is still chasing opportunities. The other has become one. Money follows value. Wealth follows the man who creates value consistently. This is one of the greatest Stoic principles. You cannot control whether the world rewards you today. You can control whether you become more capable tomorrow. Epictetus taught that our attention should always remain on what is within our control: your character, your discipline, your knowledge, your actions, never on outcomes you cannot force. That philosophy doesn't only create inner peace, it creates extraordinary value. Think about every person you admire professionally. Do they earn more because they wanted money more than everyone else? Or because they consistently solved problems that other people couldn't? The market rewards usefulness. The world rewards competence. That is why men with a true wealth mindset become increasingly difficult to replace. They don't compete on price, they compete on value. It also explains why wealthy people often seem to attract opportunities. It isn't because opportunity is unfair. It's because value attracts attention. Competence attracts trust. Trust attracts opportunity. Opportunity attracts wealth. The man who can solve expensive problems rarely stays broke for long. Ask yourself something. If someone doubled your salary tomorrow, would you know how to multiply that opportunity? Or would you simply multiply your spending? That's the difference between income and value. Income can be given. Value must be built. Every book you read, every skill you master, every promise you keep, every difficult problem you learn to solve, you're increasing something that no recession, no market crash, no economic crisis can ever take away from you: your ability to create value. That is your greatest asset. The greatest investment isn't the stock market. It's the man making the investment. And here's the remarkable part. When your value grows, your confidence grows with it. Because confidence isn't built by looking at your bank account. It's built by knowing that wherever life takes you, you possess the skills to create value again. That is real confidence. That is real self-discipline. That is the foundation of a lasting, rich mindset. Your income will rarely exceed the value you consistently create. And yet millions of men ignore this truth because they're distracted by something far more seductive. They don't want to become rich. They want to look rich. The addiction to looking rich. Walk through any major city and you'll notice something curious. Luxury cars, designer clothes, expensive watches, the newest phones, perfect vacations shared online. From a distance, it looks like wealth, but appearances have always been easy to buy. Freedom has not. This is one of the most dangerous traps a man can fall into. He begins chasing the image of success instead of the reality of it. He buys things he cannot afford to impress people who rarely think about him. For a few moments, it feels good. People notice. They compliment him. They assume he's successful. But behind the image sits a different reality. Monthly payments, debt, stress. The appearance of wealth quietly replaces the experience of financial freedom. Looking rich is expensive. Being rich is profitable. The Stoics warned against this long before social media existed. Today, the trap has simply become digital. Every day, millions of people compare their behind-the-scenes life to someone else's highlight reel. And comparison has become one of the most expensive financial habits in modern history. Because comparison creates desire. Desire creates consumption. Consumption destroys wealth. Seneca understood that the desire to impress others is one of the fastest ways to become a prisoner of their opinions. In Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, chapter 3, he reminds us that much of our suffering comes from the judgments we create about what other people think. When your self-worth depends on being admired, your financial decisions stop serving your future and start serving your ego. Now imagine another man. He drives a simple car. He wears ordinary clothes. He doesn't feel the need to prove anything. Most people underestimate him. He doesn't care. While everyone else spends money creating the illusion of success, he quietly builds real wealth. He buys assets. He invests. He builds cash flow. He develops valuable skills. He creates businesses. He purchases something most people never think to buy: time. That is what wealth was always meant to purchase, not attention. Freedom, not status. Choice. He chooses where he works. He chooses who he works with. He chooses where he lives. He chooses how he spends his mornings. He chooses how much time he gives to the people he loves. That is financial independence. That is the real destination. Seneca expressed this beautifully when he wrote, "Wealth does not consist in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Read that sentence again. Wealth does not consist in having great possessions, but in having few wants. That single idea can completely transform your money mindset, because the man who always needs more will never have enough. The man who controls his desires becomes difficult to manipulate. Advertising loses its power over him. Status loses its power over him. Comparison loses its power over him. He stops asking, "How can I look successful?" and starts asking, "How can I become free?" Those two questions create completely different lives. The broke man spends money to impress strangers. The wealthy man spends money to buy back his future. The poor buy status. The wealthy buy freedom. Ironically, the richest man in the room is often the one trying the least to look rich, because real wealth is quiet. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need permission. A true wealth mindset understands something that most people never will. The purpose of money isn't to impress people. It's to create options, because the greatest Stoic lesson about wealth has nothing to do with money at all. It has everything to do with the man you become while pursuing it. Wealth is a byproduct of self-mastery. At this point, you might think this video was about money. It wasn't. Money was only the mirror. Character was always the subject. The world teaches you to admire wealthy men. Stoicism teaches you to admire disciplined men. And those are not always the same people. Marcus Aurelius never measured a man's worth by what he owned. He measured it by the way he governed himself. Because the man who cannot master his own impulses will eventually become a servant to them. He'll serve his fears, his desires, his ego, his need for approval, his endless appetite for more. But the man who masters himself becomes impossible to enslave. That is the foundation of every lasting wealth mindset. Think about the people you trust the most. Would you describe them as disciplined, reliable, calm under pressure, honest when nobody is watching? The answer is almost always yes. Now ask yourself another question. Would you invest your money in someone who lacks those qualities? Would you build a business with someone who breaks promises? Would you recommend someone whose emotions control every decision? Probably not. Because trust is a form of wealth. And like money, it compounds. Trust compounds. Reputation compounds. Integrity compounds. Competence compounds. Every promise you keep, people remember. Every problem you solve instead of complaining, people remember. Every time you remain calm while everyone else panics, people remember. Those moments seem invisible, until one day, they become opportunities. A phone call, a promotion, a partnership, an introduction, a recommendation, a business offer. A door that never opens for the man who spent years chasing appearances instead of becoming trustworthy. Most people believe wealth is something you accumulate. The Stoics understood that wealth is often something you attract, not through luck, not through manipulation, but because you've become the kind of man others naturally want to trust, to work with, to recommend, to follow. That is the real rich mindset. It isn't obsessed with making money. It's obsessed with becoming more valuable every year, because value attracts opportunity. Opportunity attracts income. Income invested wisely creates financial freedom. Everything starts with the man. Money follows value. Value follows character. Character follows discipline. That is the Stoic formula for building lasting wealth. This is why trying to become rich is often the wrong goal. A better goal is to become so disciplined, so reliable, so emotionally steady, so valuable, that wealth becomes a natural consequence of who you are. Money is attracted to disciplined men for the same reason people are. They create certainty. People know what to expect from them. They finish what they start. They remain steady when circumstances change. They create value wherever they go. That kind of man carries something far more powerful than confidence. He carries credibility, and credibility opens doors that money alone never could. One day, your investments may disappear, a business may fail, the economy may change, markets may crash. But if you've built self-discipline, wisdom, patience, emotional control, mental toughness, and the ability to create value, you'll never truly start from zero. Because no crisis can take away the man you've become. And that is the greatest wealth the Stoics ever taught. The world will spend your entire life telling you to chase more. More money, more status, more recognition, more possessions, more applause. But Stoicism asks a question that changes everything. Who are you becoming while you're chasing all of it? Because there is a profound difference between a man who earns money and a man who knows how to build wealth. One depends on circumstances. The other depends on character. One depends on opportunity. the other creates it. Money can disappear overnight. Markets can crash. Businesses can fail. Careers can end. Economies can collapse. But a wealth mindset can never be taken from you. Neither can your wisdom, your patience, your emotional control, your discipline, your integrity, your ability to solve problems, your reputation. Those are assets no recession can erase. Your greatest investment was never your portfolio. It was always yourself. That is why the Stoics never believed true wealth could be measured by possessions. They believed it was measured by the quality of the person who possessed them. A disciplined man can lose everything and begin again. An undisciplined man can inherit everything and still lose it all. The difference has never been the size of the opportunity. It has always been the strength of the man behind it. So don't ask yourself, how can I become rich? Ask yourself a better question. What kind of man naturally creates wealth wherever he goes? Become that man. Become the man who keeps his word. The man who chooses self-discipline over comfort. The man who thinks in decades instead of weekends. The man who builds value before chasing money. The man who invests before he consumes. The man who remains calm while everyone else reacts. The man whose money mindset is stronger than his emotions. The man whose rich mindset cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. Because once you become that man, money stops being your master. It becomes your servant. Wealth stops being your goal. It becomes the byproduct of who you've become. That is financial freedom. Not having more than everyone else. Having enough control over yourself that money no longer controls you. Because in the end, the richest man is not the one who owns the most. It's the one who needs the least and creates the most. If this video changed the way you think about money, wealth, and success, subscribe to the Discipline Code. Every week, we explore timeless Stoic wisdom that helps modern men build self-discipline, mental toughness, emotional control, a powerful wealth mindset, lasting financial freedom, and unshakable character. Because the goal was never simply to become rich. The goal is to become the kind of man who can never truly be poor.